Welcome to Lightning Web Components. My name is René Winkelmeier, and we will talk about the Lightning Web Components extension for Visual Studio Code. Salesforce provides a variety of extensions for Visual Studio Code to accelerate the Salesforce developer experience. And for Lightning Web Components, you will find a dedicated extension in the Visual Studio Marketplace. This extension can be installed standalone or starting February 9th as part of the Salesforce extension pack. Now, let's see what the extension does for you. The very first functionality that you want to look into is how to actually create a Lightning Web Component using the Lightning Web Components extension for Visual Studio Code. You can either use the command palette for that by just typing create Lightning Web Component, or you can use the context menu for that by doing a right click on the LWC folder, and you get the same command as you saw previously in the command palette. But we actually want to look at an existing component. So for that, we're going to the Hello Web Component. As Lightning Web Components are making use of standard HTML tags as template, you get out-of-the-box functionality like documentation for those standard tags by Visual Studio Code. In addition to that, the Lightning Web Components extension provides IntelliSense and auto-completion for base Lightning components, like Lightning Card. And you can get directly to the full documentation in the Lightning Component library. Now, this base Lightning component is missing a tag for icon. Using the Lightning Web Components extension, you get not only a list of available attributes, like icon name, you also get additional information for each attribute. So let's add the information for this. An additional benefit of using Visual Studio Code is that you get real-time information if something is wrong with your markup. Let's bring up for that the problems view. When I delete some standard HTML, like this div tag over here, you will see that we get a visual indication that something is wrong. And in this case, the div has no matching closing tag. Now, let's fix this and look at the JavaScript file for that, hello.js. First, I'm adding the import for add.api because I want to use a public property. And again, Visual Studio Code gives me the information that I have an unused variable over here. So when I hover over this, you will get information by ESLint. API is defined but never used. This is powered by the built-in ESLint configuration of the Lightning Web Components extension that parses any JavaScript file in your Salesforce DX project based on provided rule sets. Before I use this, I want to make this private property greeting also reactive. So let's add track for this. And now as we add the decorator add track, we're getting another warning over here. This warning indicates that we're using a decorator, but we didn't import it. So actually, let's fix that. As we added the add.api import, we actually wanted to use it with a public property. So let's add that. And again, we're getting a warning. In this case, it's information that we can only decorate either the getter or setter of a public property. This means that the Lightning Web Components extension doesn't only provide basic linting capabilities, but also informs you if you write code that doesn't conform with Lightning Web Components standards. So let's delete this line to get some working code. The next feature of the extension is that it contains ready-made code snippets to optimize the developer experience. So we're going down here, let's paste a skeleton for a function, and we want to add some code. When you start typing LWC-, you will get the list of available code snippets that you can just select and insert into your code, like LWC-event in here. Another benefit of using the Lightning Web Components extension is the built-in auto-completion for several elements of your Salesforce DX project. Let's say you want to return a static resource. For that, we are creating a simple getter. I know that the project contains several resources that start with Trailhead. So let's add that. And as you can see, we're getting IntelliSense for static resources just within the place where we write our code. If you pay attention to the line 2 of the code, we're also getting an auto import right now for the static resource that we just added. If you want, for example, to add an Apex method, you can just use the same syntax. So let's go over here. We're adding a new line and adding some default code. Now again, we have auto-completion for all elements in your Salesforce DX project that are relevant to your JavaScript file, like Apex methods or content assets or static resources. So in this case, I'm importing find contacts. And an additional bonus, once you hover over an Apex method, you get information about the needed parameters just inline within your JavaScript file. So no need for you to switch contexts. Going back to the HTML file, there's one last thing. Here we have another custom Lightning Web Component. When you hover over the tag, you get some basic information. But when you command click it, you get details about the underlying JavaScript file. Or if you directly click it, it opens the web component directly for you. So no need for additional navigation. To summarize, you can create new Lightning Web Components either using the command palette or the right-click context menu on an LWC folder. The Lightning Web Components extension provides you a rich user experience for base Lightning component. It gives you auto-completion as well as information around custom Lightning Web Components in your HTML template files. You get auto-completion for static resources, Apex, content assets URL, and more. ESLint is your best friend to avoid common pitfalls, and the Salesforce extension also provides you a good configuration for that. Using the provided code snippets, you can be more productive. If you want to learn more, follow the short link salesforce.co/LWC to get to a Trailhead Trail Mix where we provide ongoing resources about Lightning Web Components. Thanks for listening and see you soon.